I want to talk about this Venus movement that's happening right now. Venus is basically getting blocked by the sun or blinded by the sun in such a manner that it's been deemed by astrologers that Venus is going into the underworld. So this is the first full day. It went in last night. So what I'm feeling around this, so Venus is our ability to love. It represents relationships. It represents beauty. It also represents the flow of abundance into our life, which is why it is significant to money. But the flow of relationship is just the flow of love. So, and the flow of beauty is also just allowing the abundant universe to manifest in your world. So, this time of Venus going into the underworld is it's the she, which is the Kundalini energy in your body, which has been rising and purifying all of the centers and kind of blowing stuff out as we go, especially as we've been through the ascension cycles as of recent and late last year. So now what's happening is Venus is doing this very graceful act of going, okay, down you go. And Kundalini Shakti, the feminine, the Venus is moving down into the core. You should see this. My phone is actually balanced on my Kundalini goddess statue. I'll have to show you. Here, I'll show you. So she's holding you because it's the only place that I can find right now that will hold this thing. I got to get one of those holders. And of course, now that I'm trying to get back, she's like, no. Isn't this the thing? Okay. I'm sure there's a metaphor in here somewhere. Okay. So I'm just going to continue to say that things are a little bit wobbly as we're trying to reroot in the core. I suppose I have a little ego going on to show you that too. So I'm going to just own that. I mean, I really just think that this is a beautiful thing that I'm talking about, the Kundalini. This is probably not as good as it was, but that it's also supporting the actual physical manifestation of the thing that is helping me talk to you about it. So that's the thing. And so Venus is the goddess. Venus is the feminine. Venus is the Kundalini Shakti in this case. She's representing that. So as she's going into the underworld, the light of the sun, which is our own consciousness, is actually blinding Venus. That's why we can't see Venus. It's like washing it out. But at the same time, that penetrative light of consciousness that's going down in there is going down into the depths with her, back into the core of the self, back into the Kunda, the place from which the Kundalini Shakti originally arises in our root, which means in the root of our consciousness, in the core, in the seed, in the beginning, in the origin of what springs forth from us, how we express ourselves in the world, which is really, it's all about Venus. It really is. It's like the way that I exude myself in the world, the way I hold myself, how I look, how I decide to, decorate myself, adorn myself. These are all Venus qualities. And for some reason the screen is turning red right now. I think the fire is on. Anyway, and then how I can interact with the field of my person. Now that's how abundant I feel, how much I feel in the flow, that I can exchange goods and services and money fluidly. Now, if I'm not able to do that fluidly, then the only reason why is lots of reasons why, but the main reason is something is blocking that consistent flow of consciousness interacting with the way that we interact with reality. Follow me? So however I'm exuding this Kunda, this Shakti, this life force energy as the Venetian embodiment. So all feminine, all form is feminine. All form is the Shakti manifest. So the way that I have this interaction, this play with reality, is how fluidly I feel connected to that life force in my physical manifested form. So the root is about how grounded that we feel, how abundant that we feel. That energy can come through us and we won't get thrown off. We won't drop our consciousness down farther. And I think that's what some people fear with the abundance thing. Hey, if I get money, I'm going to become unconscious about it. And I'm going to do things that don't support the all, because we've seen that so many times. Or I'm going to become too selfish and I'm just going to focus on myself, when we want so much, and we know so much that we want to reconnect the grid of humanity. We want to bring through. And so it's like those of us who are on the brink of those few little last tethers around this idea of being able to be sustainable again, to feel our body completely connected to all of the other bodies and humanity and to the earth, and allow this life force energy to fluidly flow without inhibition, without blocks, without fear, without feeling like there's not enough. So as Venus goes down in the dark and our consciousness shines on it, we're literally looking at all the ways in which we interact with humanity and where the blocks might be there. Because Venus really is, how do I connect? How do I express myself in this world? And how do I relate intimately? So this is another thing, and I'm going through a lot of these myself right now, is looking back at intimate relationships and seeing where they were reflecting me that I maybe wasn't able to process, or maybe what they were showing me that I also wasn't ready to totally own, and I stepped away from it because that would be the only reason why you couldn't go deeper with somebody, is if one or both of you couldn't own what was coming up. And if the need was to put it off on the other and to, like, stop or stifle your own growth. Now, some people are maybe not as aligned with their core values. This I'm learning from a work I'm doing with dear sister, Lisa. I'm calling you out. You rock. And Lisa Kay is amazing. And she's helped me get to my core values. And then not only that, but start looking at how I've applied them in my relationships in my life. So this is important. And I feel super lucky I'm doing this during this Venus time. Not only is Venus retrograde, so it's reflective, but it's also down now in the depths. So we're back down. Now what happens when Kundalini rises again? When she comes out and goes back up the chakras, because that's happening in, countdown 4 days. So we have this 4-day period that we get to kind of look in, see those places which are connected or disconnected. And luckily Venus retro is giving us all these past relationships to look at. What happened with this person? What about this person? What about this person? And this is all sorts of intimate relationships. Could be bosses, could be friends, could be family members, could be lovers, could be children, could be all different things. And these are all coming up like, hey, how have you interacted with this person? Hey, how about this one? Hey, how about this one? And looking at all these different aspects and saying, I need to own these things. And if I don't own them, they're going to continue to dictate how much life force energy I allow in and out of my body, aka how much money I also allow to myself, because they are related, and aka how much love, connection do I continue to get to see based on my track record here. If I don't clear out or acknowledge and release, or acknowledge and file them where they go, or totally embody them, it's a lot. But it's also a treasure box and a genie's lamp, because when we do this, especially at this time, we are creating a very vibrant connection with our life force energy, which this time when Kunda rises, this time when the Kundalini goes up, when Venus steps back on her perch of self, this time the chakras aren't blowing out karmic debris anymore. So this time the energy moves up and shines the pure light of consciousness through all those squeaky clean centers and moves right up and out. And there's more I could say about that, but I'm going to hold that one for another conversation. But you get the point. As we go ahead and move these blocks clear, see what's down there, and then we step forward with clear consciousness, suddenly, without, quote, even having to try, but we did a lot of work, without even having to try, that energy just moves. And we just find ourselves